Hey everyone, welcome to the training class. I'm Andy Winnig, and I'm really excited to be on the call today. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you haven't yet, go ahead and post in the chat box where you're from, what you're excited to learn, and something you are grateful for today. I'm super grateful for you giving me about 75 minutes of your time to learn something new. I love teaching this program. I can already tell you're going to be a great audience to teach it to, because just by being on this call today, I can tell you're interested in taking action and growing your business, your career, and your brand. So I'm very excited about this. And again, thank you everyone for signing in. There's still lots of people leaving comments in the chat box where you're calling from, so thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to go through this pretty quickly, a lot of these slides. I have a lot of different slides to share, but this is really for me about when people say, well, what kind of results can you really get from business networking, and what does it mean to grow your business through business networking? And I'm assuming there are a lot of entrepreneurial types on the webinar right now. So some of you may be business owners, small business owners, freelancers, but I'm assuming a lot of entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial-minded people. And what you're really going to learn is how to get other people calling you with legitimate leads. I mean, leads to people who want to give you money. So how to use business networking, develop the relationships, and that trust, so other people are promoting your projects and services for you. So my mission, just to tell you a little bit about me, where I'm coming from. It took me about 7 years to learn the skills that I'm teaching you today. It was 7 years of joining networking groups and attending networking events with very few results. I really struggled to understand what it was all about. And my mission is that it's not going to take you 7 years to learn this stuff, because business networking is fun. It's fun to get to know people, and it's really fun when you can attract and help more clients. So that's my passion, helping other people learn these skills so they can expand their referral network and attract more of the right people into their business network. And that's really been what business networking is about for me. It allows me to reach a larger audience and serve this mission by teaching people how to develop trust as they meet people, attract leads, and grow their business. So thanks again for joining. You've been an awesome choice, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how I did this myself. I went from no sales and no business or business networking experience to growing 2 businesses on the strength of my referral network. I'm an engineer by training, so I had that against me, and I had no business experience, which kind of goes along with being an engineer. I basically figured it all out by making all the mistakes. I'm going to share with you what I learned, so it won't be nearly as painful for you. So I'm going to walk you through step by step how you can expand your referral network in the next couple of weeks. I mean, yes, it takes time to develop your network, and there are things you can do. I'm going to share a formula you can put in place to really start seeing results in about 2 to 3 weeks. Of course, there's some time to learn things, a minute to learn, lifetime to master, but I don't want you to think you have to wait months or years to do this, because there are things you can do right now, today. And the faster you take action, the quicker you're going to be able to generate the leads you want, the opportunities you want, and the results you want. You start bringing in leads from business networking right now. And again, it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. I'm going to show you how to do this, and lots of other businesses are doing the same exact thing to bring in more clients. So let's go ahead and dive in. If this sounds exciting to you, if there's information you're interested in, then go ahead and type into the chat box and let me know you're excited about it and that you're in the right place and this is what you've been looking for. I always like to check in and make sure people get what I'm talking about and are excited about I am to learn this stuff. So just go ahead and type whatever you're thinking right now into the chat box, or that sounds like the kind of stuff you want to be learning. I get super excited because I know that about 75 minutes from now, you'll have a whole new approach to business networking. You won't be stuck anymore. You won't be wondering what events to attend or who to follow up with or what to say when you follow up. We're going to cover all that in just a minute, so here we go into the information. Oh, great. That's a lot of excited people. Yeah, thanks. Dana and Joy, and great. Good to have excited people. George, yeah, excited to meet new people. Good, yeah. And you know what? It's even better when you meet new people and they can actually grow your business for you. So I'm glad to know you're in the right place. So here are the proven facts. Score. Maybe some of you have heard of them. These retired business executives volunteer their time to educate and mentor small businesses. Do you think they know a thing or two about growing businesses? And someone asked them, does SCORE think that networking can be effective effective way for growing a small business? Now remember, business networking is a lot like planting a tree. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And in business networking, the best time to start was about 3 years ago. So let's not get 3 years from now and wish we could take an action on meeting the right people starting today. So does SCORE think that networking can be effective for growing a small business? Well, of course. This is the interesting part, though. They say yes, as long as people get to know you and rely on your quality and professionalism. And what do you think other people conclude about your quality and professionalism if you aren't prepared to answer the most basic business networking question? Let's turn that around. What do you think people think of someone who can clearly and concisely say what they do? It's instant trust, instant stature. That's the first step. Master your elevator pitch. I think about it. People who can help with your success are at these networking events. That's where they are. And their first impression of your professionalism is your elevator pitch. So what does your elevator pitch say about your quality and professionalism? So Dr. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI. Now, I don't know if anyone on the call is a part of a BNI chapter. BNI is funny because they are so successful that everyone hates them, literally. I mean, even some of their most productive members. I'm not kidding. Anyone who's starting a networking group can't wait to tell you how different their networking group will be from BNI. But if you're only going to be like BNI in one way, make it in the tens of thousands of dollars a month in referrals they pass between their members. Whether you love BNI or hate it, Dr. Ivan Meisner knows a thing or two about networking. And according to Dr. Ivan Meisner, what is the secret to getting more business through networking? Time. Which is interesting because I did a survey a while back, and you'll never guess the #1 challenge people have in business networking. Yes, not enough time. So according to Dr. Meisner, people who spend 2 hours a week networking don't get much benefit from networking. But spend 6.5 hours a week networking. That's about 16% of your time if you're only working 40 hours a week. And people who spend 16% of their time on average generate 50% of their business from networking. Now, of course, part of the benefit you get from BNI is learning their approach to elevator pitches, one-on-ones, professional referrals, partnerships, whatever. They have a whole system. What throws people off, what people find confusing and off-putting about BNI is that it's expensive up front, both for time and money, to get into and learn their system before you start seeing results. And as I said, today is about learning a new formula for doing this much more quickly and inexpensively. So what is business networking anyway? It's developing relationships, trusted relationships. And back to Dr. Meisner again, it's more than about just showing up and shaking hands. And he recommends doing something specific each week that's focused on networking for business growth. And that's what today's program is about. Remember, you only need 6.5 hours a week. So what can we do each week to fuel this business growth? Well, there are 5 things you can do. And we're going to cover those in the main content here in just a minute. First, though, why do we want to learn this? Well, Harvey Mackay wrote several great networking books. One of the best is Dig Your Well While You're Thirsty, and he has a couple of great quotes. The first one is, up the proverbial creek, if you've got a network, you've always got a paddle. Isn't that the truth? I mean, when you have people who take and return your calls, you can really move mountains. So here's another quote. Like any new behavior, the more you practice the skills of networking, the easier it becomes. And again, that's what we're doing today. We're going to learn the skills and start practicing the skills, and I'll show you a way of even deepening your practice of the skills a little bit later on in the program. But why is it important? Why do we want to practice these skills? Well, I went to meetup.com the other day. Meetup is in-person networking, right? They have in-person gatherings. And look at what I pulled up. Events start at 6 in the morning and go until 8 at night. Look at these numbers. You got 66 people. You've got 87 people. You've got 200 people. That's a lot of people. I mean, get a strong elevator pitch in front of those people, and you'll have some people to talk to. Then what? Now that you have people to talk to, how do you go and develop trust? Okay, I want to share with you a story. So we're going to get into the really fun part here. So I'm going to ask you before I get into this, I'm going to ask you to put your phone down. Many of you are holding it in your hand, so go ahead, flip it over, put it aside. I want you to shut down any other screen on your computer right now and blow the screen up so it's full screen. I'm going to share some very interesting information over the next 45 to 60 minutes, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I've got a lot to share, a lot of slides, and I want to get you as much as I can in a short amount of time. And my request is that you stay on and stay committed until the very end because I want to make sure I get you all this information. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to give away a bonus to someone. We're in this interactive program, and I want to make sure you get as much out of it as possible. So at the end of this webinar, I'm going to give away a new elevator pitch. That's right. It's a 1-hour private coaching call with me where we work out both a 7-word answer to what do you do plus a full 30-second elevator pitch. That's a $350 value just for participating in the chat box and putting through great comments about this material. So at the end of the program, I'll pick the person who is the most involved and have the best comments. So it's not just about posting once, and it's not about posting the weather or what you had for lunch or me tooing other people's comments. It's about mastering these 5 skills so you can develop the right relationships to attract better referrals. So what do all great business networking stories start with? I met someone who has generated over $2,000 in business for me so far without ever becoming a customer. We'll call this guy Steve because, well, that's his name. He's a Jewish guy like me who, like me, loves a delicatessen named Zoftig's. So we sit down in Natick for a one-on-one, and it's a blast talking to this guy. He's fun, he's funny, he's personable, fellow entrepreneur like me, owns a couple of businesses, and that's where the one-on-one gets interesting, almost. He's a promotional products guy, just like a lot of folks, but when he hears about my second business, he mentions his. He has this product for car dealerships, and my window cleaning business does a lot of work with local car dealerships. Turns out that car dealerships are a great referral for him. So do I drop everything and send him all my car dealership contacts? No, I do nothing. I don't really know this guy yet. I'm not ready to share my best customers with him. So I let it sit. We follow up with each other occasionally over the next several months using some of the techniques I'll talk about here in a second. Nothing pushy, just checking in, sharing successes in our businesses. Like I said, I like the guy. I don't mind hearing from him. Then it happens. Call it serendipity, but I just call it business networking. And actually, I call it opportunity spotting, but more about that when we get to the content in a second here. I'm doing a presentation for a networking group, and the owner of one of the car dealerships is in the audience. So I do the presentation, then approach him afterwards. I tell him a little bit about Steve and say, I think it could be a good connection. He agrees. Then he tells me he wants to follow up with me. Long story short, this car dealership guy hires me to coach his sales team and ends up signing up with Steve for massage chairs for the waiting room in his service department. And that's an aha moment for me about the power of business networking. I approached someone with something for him, a referral I thought would benefit him, and it also turned into a sale for me. Now, would I have signed it up if I hadn't approached him that day? I don't think so. But I'll tell you, I now use any excuse to approach people after a presentation, any reason at all about them to start a conversation. So I'm always looking for reasons, not having to do with me, to start talking with people. And that gets much easier, as you'll see, when you have a strong business network. So the next time someone tells you that business networking takes time, it's true. It took 9 months to get the opportunity to make this connection because it takes time to develop trust. Now, I can't guarantee you'll get thousands of dollars in business out of every one-on-one, but I'll share with you in a second how quickly you can develop trust when you use these skills we're talking about today. Yes, the faster you take action, the quicker you're going to be able to get the leads you want from the people you already know in the networking events that you're already attending. It's really not, folks, it's really not about going out and finding new events and finding new people, right? The opportunities are already there in the events you're attending and the people that you already know, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute here. I'm super pumped to show you how it works. So I'm going to go over the agenda really quickly. Then I'm going to keep diving into this information because I'm going to share with you exactly how to do this in a little bit. So I'm going to go into my story a little bit and how I got into business networking. I know I just shared with you a story about a powerful result, but I'm going to tell you how I got into it. Then I'm going to give you examples of 3 or 4 people who are attracting paying clients through business networking. Most of them are sales managers or solo entrepreneurs, so they don't have a lot of time, and they need to get as much as they can out of each and every event. They're from all different industries. Then we're going to talk about how to get results from networking events. So locate the chat box on your screen. It should be down at the bottom. So hands on your keyboards. Quick question for you. So how many of you expect to get leads out of every event you attend, and how many actually get leads out of every event? So you can type into the chat box, yes, 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 no, no, no. So do you expect to get leads, and do you actually get leads when you go and attend networking events? So just go ahead and type in the chat box what that is for you. Seeing yes, no, yes, sometimes, yes, not always. I expect to get a good connection, not necessarily a lead. Okay, yes, yes, no, yes, no, yes, 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 not often. Okay, so for the folks who don't get them, you're in the right place. It's going to do stuff. For those of you who are, for those who already understand the power of business networking and are getting some leads, you're doing extremely well, and that's awesome. And you're going to learn some new stuff today so you can develop even more trust with even more people and leverage your time even better. So the next part of the agenda, I'm going to be sharing with you the 5-step business networking blueprint. The 5-step business networking blueprint. This is going to be the main content, going over exactly what's involved in the 5 steps of meeting people and developing trust. Right, okay, there's a lot that happens with business networking. There's a lot behind the scenes. There's a lot that happens before choosing the event, putting it in your calendar, printing out directions, putting it in your GPS, making sure you have business cards, making sure you eat beforehand. That doesn't include any networking groups you may be part of, any chambers of commerce or BNIs or groups like that. Then there's the business networking process, what you really do when you're standing in front of someone. Then there's the third part, which is the follow-up process. You can't develop trust instantly, so that all happens later, after the event or the meeting. And that's where people get stuck because they're just not sure what to do after the meeting to keep the relationship moving forward. And it's so important because you'll never actually close anything at the event, right? As Harold said, you don't close sales at the event, you meet people. And so then what do you do with those people afterwards? And that's exactly what this blueprint's going to cover. You have to have a real solid system of thought. So there's really 3 parts of business networking. I'm going to be sharing through the middle part, really the skills you want to learn to develop that trust effectively. So people take your calls and call you back, and we'll be learning how to do that during the webinar. And at the very end of the training, I'll be showing you how you can take the whole package. We've got an advanced training for those who are interested in signing up, really on attracting better leads through business networking. So you can take what I give you now and apply it, or you can get the whole thing with the advanced training. So we're going to be talking about that, really how to take your business networking to the next level. I'm going to do a Q&A at the end for about 15 minutes. We'll go over questions. So I'll answer as many questions as I can then. So if you have questions, Feel free to type them in as we go because you want to get them in. Don't save them until the end because you'll forget them or I may run out of time. So just type them in as they occur to you. Then we're going to do the bonus giveaway. Remember, I'm going to give someone a brand new elevator pitch. It's a 1-hour private coaching call with me for whoever interacts the best through the chat box. We'll come up with a 7-word answer to what do you do and a full 30-second elevator pitch. So take good notes and participate in the chat box, and I'll wait until the very end so we can get the most amount of interaction possible. So keep chatting about the content of this webinar. If you don't have one chat, then you're not going to be chosen. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So let's go ahead and get started. Are you ready? So first part of the agenda, a little bit about me. I'm going to fly through this pretty quickly because I want to get to the content here in a second. For those who don't know me, I want to talk about this for a quick second. A little bit about me. Back in 2001, I was living the dream. I was being paid 6 figures a year with plenty of stock options at a web startup called Informio. I was being paid to develop highly reliable telephony software systems that could handle thousands of simultaneous callers in every major city across the country. I was on a fast track to being a VP of engineering when one day, 15 years ago, Sunday actually, it all came crumbling down, literally. 2 planes flew into the Twin Towers in New York. IT spending dried up. Our venture capitalists pulled back their money. And on January 1st, 2002, I was unemployed for the first time in my 12-year computer career. There were no computer jobs. And I had a very strong motivation for finding a way to make money. I did not want to have to move back in with my parents. So I started looking for a new career. Long story short, I bought in on a franchise called Fish Window Cleaning. This is me, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in May of 2002 when I start my window cleaning business. And I spent the next year and a half doing everything. Cleaning, selling, hiring, payroll, collections. I was the original man with many hats. And one day I meet this guy named Tom Vance. Tom was the membership director of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce the day I walked in to sell them window cleaning. I walked out with a chamber membership and a new customer. And as we cleaned the chamber windows that first time, Tom approached me about a new idea he had, to start up networking groups under the umbrella of the chamber. I spent the next 3 years working closely with Tom on his networking groups, coming up with ideas, trying them, keeping them at work, mastering the whole process, the process of developing relationships that lead to sale. I was active in a bunch of other groups as well, meeting people, practicing my skills, getting better at developing trust. And one day, this was back in 2005, I introduced the guy who was running my window cleaning business for me to my networking groups, and then started networking for my own business, Improv Andy. Now, I know that networking works, but the thing is, it's easy to overlook just how well it's working. I realized one day that the group of people I met 13 years ago through Tom Vance accounted for more than $75,000 in sales in my window cleaning business every year. Now, I'm not saying that networking is the only reason my business will top $750,000 in revenue this year, but it's not much work to close those sales. The stuff that comes through referrals, it's really easy work. And here's the real kicker. Earlier this year, I got a call from a woman I met over 3 years ago. She joined a new networking group and wanted me to come speak to her group. There was no one else in the running. I named my price and did the job. And that job led to another job. There was someone actually at that thing scouting me for their networking group, and another. That's referrals. People call you at the right time for them. And the more people in your network, the more frequent the calls. It's a really fun way to grow your business. And I realized that other people are prospecting for me. I don't have to make all the contacts. People bring leads to me. And those are the easiest leads to close. So I'm an engineer turned entrepreneur. I don't clean windows anymore. I spend 5 to 7 hours a week in my window cleaning business. And the rest of the time, I coach other business owners, give presentations, develop training programs, and attend networking events. I am current franchisee of the year for Fish Window Cleaning, and I've been a finalist for Small Business of the Year. I've won sales awards and production awards and inspiration awards and been on the radio and TV. I even hosted a few shows. But here's the thing I'm most excited about, most passionate about, what business networking has done for me. It allows me the freedom to do what I want. So for me, I want to be able to chase my dreams and live them, not just talk about them. I want to be able to pursue them on a daily basis and do what fills me up energetically. I spend 3 full weeks at the beach with my family every summer, this summer included, which doesn't include our Disney World vacation back in April, our trip to Storyland coming up now in a few weeks. I play basketball in a local league, and I go downhill skiing as often as I can. And this is what it's all about, getting the opportunity to know that I have my business in place, that it's running in the back end, I've got passive income coming in, and networking is supporting that. Then I can play the piano and travel and do what I want with my family. It's a very powerful experience and feeling for me to be able to do that. And I don't know if anyone else feels this way, that they want to run their business not 15 to 20 hours a day, really work hard at it, but set up the systems and leverage the tools that support saving you time. And that's really what networking has done for me. I kind of stumbled into it by accident because someone gave me an opportunity to join the group. And then I took it and ran with it, and allows me to do everything else I want to do. I feel so blessed and grateful every day. I don't take any of this for granted. So enough about my story. I probably went on for a little too long, but I wanted to give people a little example of who I am and what I created, so you know that I'm a guy with no business or sales experience who got laid off. If I can do this stuff and chase my dreams at the same time, travel the world, then everyone on here is extremely intelligent, who's got the experience, who's got the drive as well. I know you can do this equally as well, if not better. Okay, you just got to have the right blueprint, and then you have to take the right action. So it's my goal to share with you the blueprint right now. And then you got to be committed to taking the action, because if you just think about it, it's not going to happen. So here's the thing about networking. I took a couple of screenshots from emails over the past couple of day period, and here's a meetup, one from a Society of Professional Consultants. Some of you may have heard of them. Something called a pitch party. Sounds like it's right up my alley. Cambridge Chamber of Commerce is always really busy, as is the Needham Chamber. These were all sent within a few days, right? I get networking requests constantly, and some of you may as well. And can anyone tell me why so many people are networking? Go ahead, locate the chat box, hands on your keyboard. Ready? Let's just get an idea. Can anyone tell me why there are so many networking events? Go ahead and type it into the chat box right now. Why are so many people putting together events? Why are so many people emailing us about trying to get people together? Why do people think that is going on? Yep, due to the internet, I think that's true. You never know who you're going to meet exactly. It's a chance to meet people. They're looking for opportunities, right? Everyone's always looking to grow their business. Face-to-face is the best way to network. I agree with that absolutely. Networking events, groups of structure to reach out. Yep, thanks. Michelle, best way to get business. Marcy and people are too involved online. Yep, George, they're looking for more opportunities. Great. Johnny, develop relationships, learn about other successes and failures. Wonderful. Yes, these are all, that is all true. The networking works. This is why people continue to do it, and this is why they haven't gone out of style, because it works. A client of mine just finished $1 million funding round. She had to travel to Vancouver to meet the guy in person, and he hands her a $500,000 check right there to take back with her on the plane. Just writes it out, signs it, and hands it to her. Well worth the flight. And that's the kind of thing, that's the result of the elevator pitch, plus a bunch of other stuff she's been doing over the past couple of years to build up these relationships. And that's, and as someone said, in person is really great. That's where all this stuff starts. And I really get frustrated when I see people not being successful, because with just a little tweaking, business networking can bring you lots of qualified leads, clients, employees, funding. I'm going to share some case studies with you. Just a couple of people, most of them have been networking, were doing okay, but now that they've cleaned up their elevator pitch and followed the 5-step business networking blueprint, they have more leads than they can handle. Networking works, and now that's why now is a perfect time for you to jump in and start networking effectively right now. I'm not talking about 6 months down the line. I'm talking about the networking event you're planning to attend in a few days. You know the one I mean, that one. Go ahead and apply what you're learning from today. It works, and it generates profit. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. People try to make it complicated. I'm not one of those people. And when you know what you're doing, it works, and it's fun. Okay, I'm going to share with you some case studies, some 3 case studies of just average, ordinary people who are creating some really cool results with business networking. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I want to get to the content here in a second. So Jack is a buddy of mine. I met him years and years ago through a few different networking groups. So I kept kind of running into him through different circles of people that I knew. And his dad is a master relationship builder using a Rolodex. Anyone out there still have a Rolodex? It's funny. It was funny, So Jack has all this sales experience, but his networking results aren't that impressive. So I finally convinced him to sit down with me to get a new elevator pitch. We tried out his new pitch later that week, and here's what he had to say. I gave my new 30-second elevator pitch at a networking event the other night, and 2 people approached me afterwards to invite me to do a presentation for their company. Thanks for your help. Right? You can get, that you do not need to put in your dues or pay your dues or anything when you're at networking events. When you have a good elevator pitch, people will come running up to you. The Hannah asked a question, what about one-on-ones? Hannah, I'm going to talk about one-on-ones a lot coming up. So so again, Jack, a lot of sales experience, but not so much at networking, and then just a little tweak to his elevator pitch. Suddenly, people are very interested in having him come talk to them. So Anne is actually in a very difficult to differentiate industry. She's a website designer. There are a lot of these folks running around, right? So she took me up on a coaching offer for one of my keynote speeches, and we worked out a new pitch for her. And this is really exciting. We'll talk about this a little later in the program, but one of the top questions I get is, where do I find better events? And Anne proved there are no bad events, just bad elevator pitches. Here's what she had to say. I was at a networking event the other night. It wasn't a great event, but I was sitting next to a business coach who now wants to meet with me to learn how I can help her clients. Then I was talking to someone in the hall who knows someone who's a perfect referral for me. It works. So let's look at that for a minute, folks. She thought it was a bad event because she didn't meet any clients, but she actually met something much, much better. She met people who know clients for her, people who can refer her. And so the next step for her is to sit down and talk with them. And again, we'll talk about how to do that, how you do that and develop the trust. And that is where the one-on-ones fit in here. So thanks for a good question. So moving right along. So Craig is in an even tougher industry, insurance. I mean, how many people do these meet? How many of these people do you meet at any chamber event, right? Financial folks and insurance folks, they're like everywhere. And he's been around for a while and been very successful, which meant I was even more surprised when he told me the benefits he got from his elevator pitch. In my 31 years in business, I've had maybe 2 people ask a clarifying question after hearing my old elevator pitch. Since working with you, I've tripled that number in less than a week. Here's a guy who's networking all the time and never starting any conversations. He had no idea that he was supposed to start conversations. And I see people do this all the time. They go and they give their elevator pitch and nothing happens, and they move on to the next event and they give their elevator pitch and nothing happens. And I'm telling you folks, if that's what you're experiencing, then you're going to love what's coming up because you can create an elevator pitch that actually gets people coming up and talking to you. That is the whole point of networking. And so it's very exciting to work with someone who's, again, he'd been successful, but the networking, he's being a lot more successful now. So here's probably my favorite client story, Liz, because Liz, a shy, introverted scientist with no business network, has learned and applied these 5 skills. And in under 2 years, she went from 0 contacts to a strong referral network that brings her investors, mentors, career opportunities, employees, pretty much anything she needs to be successful. And here's how she tells it. And I want to go through this for a second because this is really, she really did. She was a scientist. She's an introverted scientist. She had no network. And she is now CEO of a big biotech firm. And she's got investors and all sorts of people in her Rolodex. And she did it just by following this system. So I was terrified of networking, in her words. I was terrified of networking. As an introvert, I found it difficult to enter a room full of strangers and break into conversation. I struggled to find anything interesting to say. It's just the elevator pitch, folks. So she goes on. Now I embrace networking in a completely different way, and that's what we're talking about today. My focus shifted away from selling and towards getting to know people. I'm amazed at how much more relaxed and open I am, how much more natural the conversations are, and how should I look forward to networking events. Oh, my goodness. It's like the Holy Grail, right? That she's an introvert who's looking forward to networking events, and that happens all the time. All the time. Like once you understand what you're doing and what you want to be saying, that's really how it works. She changed the way she thinks about it. She looks forward to it. She gets stuff. And the payoff, why is she feeling this way? I found that I was creating a stronger network of colleagues who were eager to reciprocate when the opportunity presented itself. Over the last few months, I've been amazed by how many opportunities have opened up for me as a result. And so this is the Holy Grail of networking. You pick up the phone and call people. Liz did that for a biotech startup she was consulting for before she became CEO where she is now. They were looking for money, so she started calling VC people she knew and lined up 4 appointments immediately. And in the coaching call with her, I laughed. I said, Liz, 8 months ago, you didn't have anybody you could call. She was like, that's right. And that's really how fast you can expand your referral network. Now imagine having that kind of security, being able to pick up the phone and find money, new clients, investors, jobs, whatever it is that you would want. And Hannah asked another good question. Networking is newish, good. I'm glad you're here. You're in the right place. Trying to get people to have a conversation with me, but it feels that people aren't open to it. A lot of people aren't, Hannah. That's why I'm going to teach you how to find the people who are. So that says stick around because we're going to talk about that during the training. That's a great question, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about: how to deal with people who don't want to talk to you. So for anyone here, hands on your keyboard again. Type in the answer to this in the chat box. If you'd like to be one of these success stories in the future and start expanding your network so opportunities just fall into your lap, you can pick up the phone, find a new client or job or career. If you're interested in that type of game, that type of business, and being a success story that I can teach in the future, go ahead and type into the chat box that you would. If that's something you think would be helpful for you, go ahead and type that into the chat. Dana is saying, Dana just said exclamation points. Excellent, Harold. Yes. Marcy, I would. Beth, yes, I would like that. Great. I'm saying yes. Excellent. Perfect. Great. So so very cool. All right, I'm pumped that you're also engaged, and this is exciting about it. So hopefully you're taking notes. I'm getting ready to interact in the chat box because we're coming up on that part of the program. Remember, we're doing that giveaway towards the end. But let's get into the next part of the content, the next part of the agenda, which I promised you, which is how to get better results for your next networking event. So here's the formula. Hopefully you're taking notes. This is the fun part. This is the cool, fun part about networking. You can really start to gauge how many sales you're going to do because you know the averages and the numbers. So I'm going to give you the averages if you already have events to attend, and I'm assuming that you already have something you can attend. But again, in the training in a minute, I'm going to teach you, even if you don't have events to attend, where to find people. And this is kind of based on averages. So don't say that when you go to your first networking event, this is definitely what will happen, though this is what I've seen happen for a lot of people around these averages. Some are a little better, some are a little worse, but these are about the averages. So let's assume that you're going to an event with 40 people. The event may have 15 people, it may have 150 people, but I'm just going to say it has 40. When your elevator pitch has a strong call to action, which is something I talk more about in the advanced training, you can expect about 7% of people to approach you with a legitimate lead. That's 3 people who are prospects. And I'll be making the distinction one of the key distinctions is prospects versus non-prospects. So that's 3 prospects. And also I'll show you how to pick 3 non-prospects to follow up with as well. And when you have a one-to-one with them, you can expect that between 2 of them you get 3 more prospects to talk to. So that's 6 prospects in total. And a standard sales average is that you close about 16.7% of prospects. So then you think to yourself, what's the price of your product? Is it $500? When you're using the skills you learn here, you'll make a sale from each event. It probably won't be that week, and it almost definitely won't be to someone who was at the event. It's someone who knew someone, who knew someone, who knew someone, who knew someone. So the really interesting question is, what's the lifetime value of that customer? They'll buy other products and services from you. They'll refer you to other clients. Is their value $10,000? Is it $100,000? Is it more? So you see, it's pretty cool. You can kind of figure out the math once you know how many events you're attending and how many people are at each one. And for me, that's kind of the fun part. It's figuring out, okay, cool. Then I just need to find the right events, which I'll teach in a minute, as well as, how do we create the opportunities to talk to people, how to get people to respond to us, which other people are questioning, and a better network and deliver more value and support more people in solving their problems. When you show them you have a solution to their problem, and that can be in the form of a service, a product, coaching, mobile app, someone else you can introduce them to, whatever it may be. Once you have leads, you're in your wheelhouse, right? I mean, if someone says, hey, I'm interested in talking to you about your stuff. Let's sit down and talk about it. I mean, you'll close more than 1 in 6 of those, right? I mean, I hope so anyway. And that's the great part about business networking. It generates more of the people who are more interested in working with you. And developing the relationship takes time. But remember, you're not developing the relationship with the client. You're developing the relationship with people who know your clients. And that's what smooths the process out. When someone they trust introduces them to you, they automatically trust you. And that's why networking works. So the person you meet today may close in a month or 3 or 9, which is why it's important to follow this blueprint and keep meeting people. So George had I want to be a success. I have 75 contacts in Facebook. That's great. I want to accomplish far more. That's great, George. What I'll suggest too is that the number of contacts isn't really that interesting. It's more how many paid clients you're getting out of that. And so that's something we can talk about more as well. Like I think it's great to grow lists, and I do some programs on how to grow your list. But if you're not then converting that into actual sales, that's not as helpful, right? So that I always like to kind of, people all the time, I'll get you on the front page of Google, but unless someone shows me that being on the front page of Google actually creates more business for me, then being on the front page of Google is just another thing. So, all right. So again, thanks for the questions. Keep typing them in as you have them. I love answering questions. So let's get on to the next step of the presentation. A lot of juicy, good stuff. Make sure again you're taking lots of notes. This is the 5-step business networking blueprint. All right, this is it. This is the good stuff. So I'm going to give you the formula right now. And I really urge you to take down notes on this and type your thoughts into the chat box. And I'm going to kind of go through it pretty quickly. I'm going to get a sip of water because I'm going to fly through this. So just a second. Okay. Are you ready for the formula? The 5 steps apply to any kind of networking event and developing any kind of business relationship. The skills flow together naturally to show you as trustworthy and to show who you can trust. The skills are: choose the right event, meet the right people, strengthen your relationships, follow up effectively, and give professional referrals. I'm going to go through each one of these in turn. Let's start with choose the right event. Now remember, as my client Ann proved, there are no bad events, just bad elevator pitches, which to be fair, isn't fully true. What is true though is a lot of people are wasting a lot of time trying to figure out where their prospects are hanging out. I hear that kind of networking advice all the time, and it drives me crazy because you don't network with prospects. That's so important that I'm going to say that again. You don't network with prospects. You sell to prospects. You network with non-prospects. And this confusion is the thing that gets in the way of most people when they are networking. They go to a networking event and they think they're there prospecting, but they're not. If you find a prospect, set up a sales meeting. That's fine, but don't network with them. Don't network with prospects. You sell to prospects. You network with non-prospects. When you get to know the non-prospects, then they can introduce you to prospects. And that's really the value of networking. And that's the piece that a lot of people don't understand, that you're not looking for clients. When you go to a networking event, people get frustrated because they go to a networking event and there's no clients. But I think it was Harold typed in earlier, you go to a networking event to meet people. And when you meet people, they can introduce you to prospects. And that's really the value of networking. And so that conversation, the conversation with non-prospects, starts with an elevator pitch, but not the one you think. So the first thing about an event is preparing for it. And I would say that it's more important to be prepared for a networking event than choosing the event itself, right? I'll say that again, more important to be prepared than in choosing the event. You spend more time preparing to go than, if an event comes up, just go to it. Like, you don't need to really think too hard about that. The events are good to attend. And once you're prepared, you'll want to attend as many events as you can. And in terms of being prepared, the most important thing to bring, and again, you can go to Google and search for all this stuff, but more important than bringing a pen or business cards or your brochures, right? More important than any of that, you want to bring a 7-word answer to what do you do. And the reason, I call this the conversational elevator pitch. And the reason is that when someone says, what do you do? If you answer with some sort of long rehearsed speech, that shuts the conversation down. And what you're trying to do at a networking event is to start conversations. And you can't start a conversation if you're doing all the talking. So what you do is you have a 7-word answer to what do you do. You say something and then stop so the other person can say something. That's what makes it a conversation. Now, in answer to your earlier question, Hannah, this will not always start a conversation. Even the best elevator pitch, I'll talk about the numbers in a minute, but even the best elevator pitch, if you're at an event with 40 people and you start a conversation with 3 or 4 people, that is a very good event, right? So people go out there and, we've been taught in school to get A's and everything has to work the first time. But when you go into a networking event, you're not going to connect with most of the people there. You don't expect to. But you have 7 words that you've tested over time that generates the right kinds of conversations with the right kind of people. So in terms of preparation, there's no long speech to memorize, just 7 words, and you're going in to see who you can start conversations with. And again, in the advanced training, I'll talk a little bit more about the work that I help people with, help you practice starting conversations. Now, there is some science to choosing events. And what I like to do is have people commit to the 4M. I call it the 4M process. And that's because going to an event once isn't really worthwhile. Well, I mean, that's not true. It is worthwhile. It's just more like cold calling than networking, right? If you go to one event, you're trying to sign people up. You're not really getting to know people. You're just there once. So what I like to do when you're choosing events, if you're trying to choose between events, it's better to choose an event that you can attend on a regular basis, at least for the next 4 months. That's what the M stands for. It's a 4-month. You want to be able to commit to going. If they meet monthly, you're going to do 4 of them. They meet every 2 weeks, you're going to do 8 of them, right? You just want to kind of, for 4 months, you want to show up to these events consistently. And that's really one of the most important pieces about choosing an event. Doing one-offs doesn't really do much for your networking, but having the same people see you again and again and again is the first step in developing trust. I think we'll talk about some of the other steps, but the first step in developing trust is just showing up a bunch of times. And I see so many people, they show up once to an event, like, I didn't get anything out of it, I'm never going back. I'm like, okay, but nobody knows you yet. Like, you show up once and just vanish, like, then that doesn't cause me to trust you, right? So again, 4M, got to commit to it for 4 months. Now, the other thing I'll talk about when I talk about the back door is you can talk to people in line at the grocery store, at the Little League field, on the airplane. Anything is fair game. And I call it backdoor networking because people don't even know you're networking yet. My wife laughs at me because we'll be at a party, we'll be at an event, and I always end up talking about business. She's like, how do you do that? But you know what? I use an elevator pitch that gets into the conversation. Now, I don't talk business with everyone, right? But I have 7 words that I say that some people respond to, and then I'm into a business conversation. And I've gotten a lot of good clients that way. So you can always be networking. And again, it's not, it's not, people think about that like, oh, I don't want to always be talking about business. You're not. Go and have conversations with people. But when there's an opportunity to talk business, talk business. And part of what we work on is kind of sensing when you can start talking business to people. So got another question coming in. What makes a good 7-word elevator pitch? Well, that's a good question. What I'll say to you for today is that if you just sit down and come up with 7 words, and I don't encourage you to do this now, but make a note for yourself in your notes. When we're done, just come up with 7 words. What do you do? Just come up with 7 words, and that's usually a pretty good start. If you want to do more than that, again, I'll tell you a little bit later on how you can kind of enhance that. But just saying what you do in 7 words is actually usually a pretty good start to what you want to be saying. And so with the 7-word elevator pitch, you're always ready to start a conversation, whether or not you're at an official networking event. I signed up several great clients while I was skiing. Well, okay, in fairness, right, Harold knows, I didn't actually sign them up on the ski slopes. I started the conversation on the ski slopes. That led to subsequent conversations and eventually to them becoming customers, right? That's networking, folks. Like I was at a ski event that was thrown as it was kind of a networking event for skiing. But you know, so people, you know, we were there and we were talking, and you have some time on the chairlift, right? You got 10, 15 minutes on the chairlift to talk to people. It's a great opportunity to talk about this kind of stuff. And again, will you sign up most clients that you meet on the chairlift? No, right? You will not. But a day of skiing, you can find 2 or 3 people. You know, a day of skiing, you find 2 or 3 people that you want to talk to more. And again, that's what we're talking about, Orna. That's networking. All right. So again, if you have questions as we go, just keep pushing. I'm going to keep plowing through. But if you have questions or anything, just send them in. So the second skill is meeting the right people. All right. This is going to blow you away because it confused me for years. Who are the right people? These mythical, you know, it's like the, you know, people talk about the mythical right event. I got to find the right kind of events. I got to find the right kind of people. So let's talk about conversations. I went speed dating many years ago, back when, you know, 20 years ago, back when I was single, 7-minute dates. And this one woman in particular seemed to connect with. You know, we had a nice conversation for 7 minutes, and so I asked her out, and she, you know, the speed dating works if you both say yes, then you get each other's contact information. So I asked her out for dinner. It turned out that between us, we only had 8 minutes of conversation, which meant yes, that by the time we got to the restaurant, we had run out of things to say. But you know what? That's why you date, to rule out those people. You know, we ran out of things to say, so we both moved on, albeit after a particularly awkward and uncomfortable dinner. Like I've never had a more uncomfortable dinner. But networking is about developing trust, and that can't happen in one conversation. But in one conversation, you can figure out that you don't need to follow up with them, right? I'll warn you, as Hannah, as I already said, I'll warn you, even with the best 7-word elevator pitch, if you start 3 or 4 conversations in a room of 40 people, that is a pretty good night of networking. And the best part is that outside of those 3 or 4 people, you do not have to follow up with anyone else. I'll say that one more time, folks, because people come out of these things with stacks of business cards, and you know what? That stack of business cards is worse than cold calling, because with a cold call, at least you know they're not going to know who you are. But if you start calling, you know, you collect 15 or 20 business cards and you call them, they're not going to remember you any more than you remember them. So you're connecting with 3 or 4 people. You don't need to talk to anyone else. You can throw out the rest of those business cards, because if you couldn't get to a conversation at the event, like the woman on the date, you know, if you didn't have 7 minutes of conversation, you didn't ask for a second date. And with only 8 minutes of conversation, it didn't move past dinner, right? But if you can't get into a conversation with someone at the event, that's not you, it's them, right? And it won't be any easier on follow-up, right? There's no reason to keep pushing on them because they're not interested in following up. So once you can't talk to someone, move on to someone else. Throw out their card. There are a lot of people in the world. There are a lot of business people you can meet. So you are looking for people that you enjoy talking to, and this is the thing. This is the thing I talk to people about. You're looking for people you enjoy talking to. I have to the question, so just a second. So Beth said eliminating is important. Yes, eliminating is important, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you should not be leaving 15 to 20 cards is way too many. You should leave an event with 3 to 4 cards. So Harold is asking, with the 4M rule and expectation of 3 or 4 conversations, do you expect good conversation with at least 12 to 16 people over the course of 4 months, or is it better to have repeated conversations with the same people? Harold, I can't answer that question fully now. If you do me a favor, ask me that question again when we get toward the end. It'll get lost in the scroll box here. But over the course of 4 months, yes. I mean, you're expecting to have a bunch of people, and the answer is it's both, right? We'll talk in a minute about how you follow up with people. When you come out of an event with actually follow-up work to do, and so I laugh if they'll tell me they go to 12 events a week, right? I'm doing 3 events a day. You don't have any time to follow up. If you're doing 3 events a day, you're doing too much initial conversation. And if you're doing one thing a month, then you're having too few initial conversations, right? I think that's somewhere in the middle there is more what you're looking for. So over time, you're always expecting 3 to 4 conversations at the events, and those will turn into 2 or 3 one-on-one conversations. So that's what we're looking for. And so back to the pro. Thanks for the great question, Harold. I appreciate it. So you're looking for non-prospects that you enjoy talking to. So if you meet a prospect, set up a sales meeting later that afternoon, first thing tomorrow morning, as fast as you can, right? You need to get in front of the salesperson, but you do not want to talk to them at the networking event, and you do not want to network with them, right? This is something else people don't understand. You don't network with prospects. If you see a prospect set up a sales meeting, sell them. You're trying to sell them. They have budget and need for what you've got. Sell them. Don't bother networking, right? Then go back. So set up a sales meeting and then go back to networking with other people. If you don't network with prospects, you sell to prospects, you network with non-prospects. And with the non-prospects, you will need to talk to them several times, which brings us to strengthen your relationships. So one day, Tom Vance, remember, he's the guy who ran my first networking group through the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. So one day at one of our meetings, he passed around a fishbowl and went around the table twice. The first time around the table, everyone put in one of their business cards. And the second time around the table, everyone pulled out a business card, not theirs, obviously. That gave each of us 2 one-to-ones, the person we picked and the person who picked us. And I'll tell you, if any of you on the call run a networking group or a kind of leadership role in a networking group, this is the most powerful technique. If you're looking for ways to improve the results of your networking group, single most powerful thing you can do. Grab a fishbowl or any kind of bowl or just whatever. You hand around a box, whatever it is, but just have everyone throw in their card, everyone pull a card, tell everyone they're expected to do 2 one-on-ones before the next meeting. And you'll be amazed. You have to give people permission to do the one-to-ones, because people won't do it, right? I sat through networking groups for years and never talked to anyone outside the twice a month meeting. And that is a huge waste of time. You've got to be sitting down one-to-one with people. So no matter what kind of networking you're doing, and no matter how long you've been networking, one-to-ones are the key to results. That's where you continue the conversation. That's where you get to know people. That's where you really start getting to know people. And that's how you get people to understand your work and who is a good prospect for you. So, and that kind of connection, it just can't happen at an event, right? I mean, you can't, in 30 seconds, you can't give someone the same kind of information you can give them in a 20-minute conversation, right? It just doesn't, it's a different kind of thing. And that to me is really, the networking events, it's the knockout thing. You're knocking out the people that you don't want to spend 20 minutes with. For the people that you do want to spend 20 minutes with, they can get to know you a little bit better. So set up coffees. The good stuff happens over coffee. And in the advanced training offer scripts for setting up the one-on-ones, exactly what to say during the one-on-one, how to ask questions, what to do with people who are hard to schedule with. You're trying to schedule one-on-one, it's getting hard. What do you do with that? For the purposes of today's training, at your next event, find 2 people you enjoy talking to and invite them out to coffee. And someone just put a question in, thanks. Who pays for the coffee? That's a great question, and the answer, of course, is it depends. For a while, I was tracking how much value I was offering by how many people were buying me coffee. And again, I don't recognize that I don't suggest that as an approach. You're not trying to get people to buy you coffee. But I went through a phase where I was giving out a lot of referrals and just doing a lot of stuff for people. And people kept asking me, to sit down with them, and they were paying. So it's a good sign that you're giving value. People are offering to pay. Excuse me. In terms of who gets to pay, then I have a whole system for that. That's part of the advanced training. But it's not as complicated as everyone thinks, and it doesn't really need to be. So yes, that's another question. What kind of homework do you do before you go, except having a 7-word elevator pitch? Yeah, really, I recommend the 7-word elevator pitch is really the thing you need. Like everything else doesn't really matter, because all you're looking to do is have 3 to 4 people to follow up with. So it's Hannah, thanks. It doesn't matter who buys. It doesn't matter who buys. That's true. But there's a couple of things people sometimes do to make it uncomfortable. You don't want to make it uncomfortable. So that's what I cover in the advanced training, kind of how to the couple of things you can do to do things smoothly. So invite them to coffee. That's where the good stuff happens. If you only take one thing out of today's training, only one thing is that you want to be drinking more coffee. And of course, I don't actually drink coffee. It doesn't have to be coffee. It does have to be sitting down face to face with someone. Grab tea or juice or water, vitamin drink, whatever it is, and sit down and get to know them. You'll be amazed at how many opportunities you can have these kinds of conversations. That fishbowl turned that networking group around. Sitting down with people between the meetings opens up a floodgate of opportunities. It's something you can do right now. Reach out to a few people you know and invite them to coffee. And George said, I can brew cappuccinos. You don't want to be brewing stuff. Just go to a coffee house. It's great. You can go to a Starbucks. You can go to a local coffee house. You just go somewhere you can sit down and talk for half an hour. That's really what you're going to be doing. So I'm glad you can brew cappuccinos, but again, people may or may not drink coffee. So you want to go to a place where people can get whatever they want. All right. So all right, everyone still with me? We're keep pulling those questions through. I love this interactive stuff. We got 3 steps down and 2 to go. So let's look at number 4. And sorry, I'm so excited here. My throat is catching, but let me just take a drink of water. All right, so step number 4, the follow-up. Oh, stop sitting down for coffee. Follow-up. Now, if you're concerned that you're being annoying when you follow up, you probably are, for one very simple reason. You're following up about you. Did you get my email? Have you thought about who you can introduce me to? Have you read my proposal? Me, 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 me. It's annoying. That is annoying. So the key to following up is to follow up about them. Now, what is about them? I walked in on a new business once when I was out prospecting. Literally her first day of business. She was nice enough, but didn't have any money yet, so she wasn't buying anything. And later that week, I saw her picture in the paper, big picture of her, a great article on her new business. So I clipped it out and stuck it in the mail, stamped it, sent it in the mail. A year later, I'm back in her store on the route again, and she recognizes me. She comes running out from behind the counter, pointing at me. You're the one who sent me that article. She signed up on the site. She said, give me a new estimate. She signed up on the spot. And I will say that I taught this technique to one of my clients. And she saw an article about a prospect and then talked herself out of sending it. Oh, well, they probably already saw the article. So what? Think about if your picture was in the paper. You're going to need a copy for your mom, your grandma, your kids, your spouse, your fridge, your desk, your done good folder, right? And really, when do you get tired of looking at pictures of yourself? So when you see it, clip it, address it, stamp the envelope, and send it, right? You can follow up with people with articles, newsletters, quotes, news releases, as long as it's not written by or about you. It has to be by or about them with no mention of your business. Hey, I saw this and thought of you. I hope things are well. People will remember and they will respond with opportunities that they were meaning to call you with, right? When you reach out to people with a random thing that's for you, they will frequently get back to you. So follow-up is about staying in touch. Like that guy Steve I talked about earlier, we stayed in touch and that created trust and led to business for both of us. I got a bunch of questions coming in. How important is it you meet a one-to-one at a neutral place versus their office or on the phone? So I don't like phone one-to-ones. You can do that, and I've done Skype and that kind of thing if you really can't meet physically. But seeing a person, being able to see a person is important. Meeting at their office is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't need to be a neutral place. I just wouldn't. You just don't want to be. You don't want to invite people over so you can brew them cappuccinos. You want to invite them over so you can get to know each other. And what you're drinking is kind of separate from that. So thanks for the thanks. So that's the answer to that. Harold, sending artists to people is a great way to stay in touch. Yeah, it's a great way to stay in touch, and they may or may not respond, but the fact that you were thinking about them is good. So all right. Good. We're almost there. The 5th skill, professional referrals. I gave them your name and number, not a referral, because they won't call. You know they're not going to call. Oh, you should call Joan. This is also not a referral because you're essentially cold calling Joan, right? These are kind of the exact examples of what is not a professional referral. And when people tell me these kinds of things now, I no longer get excited, right? Because Joan's not expecting my call, like calling Joan or not. And if I call Joan, it's going to take me, a minute and a half to set her straight on kind of why I'm calling. That's not networking. That's not a trusted thing. So here's how a professional referral works when you offer to introduce 2 people. Let's say you want to introduce Ken to Barbara. You've already talked to Ken over coffee, and it sounds like a good introduction. So you call Barbara. Yes, please pick up the phone. Call her. I mean, yeah, if you want to email her, okay, but it's an opportunity. People don't call each other. If you've got someone to introduce someone to, call and say, hey, I got someone to introduce you to. Give me a call back. They'll call you right back. So call them and talk to them. So look, if Barbara doesn't call you back, you can't make the introduction, right? You can't make the introduction. That's what people don't understand, right? If Barbara doesn't call you back, there's no introduction. You can't introduce someone to someone who won't talk to you, right? That's why it's so important that people in your network will return your calls. And you can call back Ken and say, I'm sorry I couldn't get in touch with Barbara, so I guess it's not going to work, right? But that's fine. It's better that, though, than to tell Ken to call Barbara and she never gets back to him, right? So assuming you get Barbara on the phone, you tell her about Ken. If she agrees it's a good introduction, you send a co-introductory email to both of them that contains a little about each of them and their respective contact information. And I got a quick question. What should the email say? Well, it's a great question. In advanced training, I provide word-for-word scripts, but if you want to write one yourself, It's just a little bit about how you know each of them, why you thought they should connect, and their connection, and their phone and email address. It's like a 5-line email, nothing too fancy. And again, if you want word-for-word scripts, I'll talk about those in the advanced training. So professional referrals. You get permission from both, spend a few minutes writing up a nice email to introduce them, and send it. That leads to a connection every time. And it makes you the hero. Everyone loves getting that email, and they connect. So now I want to ask you an important question. Sorry, people have questions. So if a person turns down your request for coffee, should you try again? Diane, thank you. No. If they turn down, well, if they don't respond to you, don't try. For follow-up, you should always continue following up except for one-to-ones. If you email someone for a one-to-one and they do not respond to you, you're not going to have a one-on-one with them. It's that simple. Because you can't chase people, right? If people don't understand the value of it, you're not going to chase them and convince them. So you pick 2 to 3 people, because out of 2 to 3 people, 1 to 2 of them will get back to you and want to set up a one-on-one. And that's about how it goes. Marcy, do you follow up with them just to check whether they received your email? No, I do not. Again, with networking, if they're not on their email, if they don't respond to you, it's not going to be easier to get in touch with. You're looking for people who are easy to get in touch with. How to zero down on which 3 to 4? Yash, it's just. Oh no. So Yash asked a question. It's a good question. I want to spend a second on it. How do you decide which 3 to 4 people to connect with before an event? No. You decide which 3 to 4 people at the event. You go to the event and you talk to people, and the 3 to 4 people you most enjoy talking to. So I want to hold off. Keep typing your questions, and I want to hold off on answering them. I'll answer them with the 15 minutes at the end, because I want to stay on schedule. I still got some more information to give to you. So right now I want to ask you an important question. Put your pen and paper down. Leave it in front of you. I'm going to ask you to type something into the chat box. So put your pen down. I know you're probably scribbling lots of notes. That's great. My question for you, and that's actually what we're learning here. My question for you: what is the most surprising or valuable thing that you just learned? So go ahead and type into the chat box the most valuable thing that you just learned. I mean, I love doing webinars to put the fun back in business networking. This is supposed to be fun. I've been in front of over 1,000 people the past 5 years in person on webinars, and over 30,000 people who use my online software tool to improve their elevator pitch and networking results. This is what I love to do. That's what I'm learning. So let's take a look at what you've learned. That in person is good. That's great. To stop talking about myself. Good. Yes. Get other people. It's always better if you get other people talking. They'll think you're the great conversation. Networking is not about selling, right? Not to follow up people who don't respond. So Harold, that's true. That's true with networking stuff. With sales, you can keep following up, but just in terms of setting up one-to-ones. Don't chase people, not chase people. Networking, a 7-word answer. Yep. Find nice people. Yes, George. Excellent. That's a great thing. It's not about selling, confidence, talk, and meet people. Great. So, what would it be like? One more question for you to answer. What would it be like when you're attracting qualified leads, when your phone rings with new business, when you can confidently refer your best customers to the perfect person to solve their problems, and when you're not constantly stressing about how much you are or aren't networking, and new customers are finding you rather than you having to hunt them down? How will you feel, and what would you do with your time? So just respond quickly. Like, how are you going to feel when you've got leads coming in, and what are you going to do with the time that you're saving by kind of worrying about all this other stuff? Just go ahead and answer that question for me quickly. And as you're answering that, so I was on vacation a few weeks ago, and I got an email from a guy in London who I've never met. Hi, I'm very interested in improving my speeches. How do we get started? So as I said, I was on vacation, so I just sent him a quick email back with 2 lines about my coaching program, a link to sign up, and then we could schedule something for Monday, right? I didn't tell him I was on vacation. I just said, next booking for Monday. His payment came through within the hour. And during that first phone call, the amount of work we were doing tripled. And that payment came through immediately as well. It was an amazing project, one of my favorites, and will probably lead to more. And this, folks, this is networking. I eliminated the sales cycle. People approach you ready to buy. And I actually signed up a second client just like this while I was on vacation. I got these 2 emails within half an hour of each other, people who were ready to buy. And that's what networking is about for me. Okay, so I want to see some of your responses here. So keep at it at different places. I feel good about helping them solve their problem. Not sure what I would do if I got the point of more free time. That's great. Thanks for trying not to be annoying. I feel fantastic. I want to reciprocate with the people who give me referrals. Use the time to teach ESL classes. That's great. That's great. It's just going to feel self-empowered. Hannah's going to keep enjoying life without worrying. Those are all great things. Sounds like you have fun, cool things you want to do with your time. And that's what I was able to do once I created this process for myself. I had this free time, and I love playing the piano and skiing and writing books and spending time with my family. I'm doing the things that I love. And so it's time to move on to the next part of the agenda now, and accelerating your referral network, business network acceleration program. So I'm very excited to share it with you. It's something I've been very proud of developing for myself and my clients to leverage networking as a way of attracting quality referrals, and this formula on how to do it all yourself. So I am very excited to introduce Grow Your Business Through Business Networking. I said I love this program because it helps so many people, like I've shared with you today, meet more people, expand their referral network, choose the right events, and get better leads and make lots more sales with a lot less effort. So grow your business through business network. So I'll tell you what's exactly included in this advanced training and how you can take action on getting it right now. It's a 5-week live webinar training program starting October 13th. Plus, you get full unlimited lifetime access to all the webinar recordings, all the worksheets and handouts in our exclusive members area we get access to right away when you invest and get signed up. Each of the 5 trainings is 37 minutes long. It usually goes a little longer for answering questions. There's only 37 minutes of prepared material for each of the 5 sessions. And that's right. I mean, people make this all way too complicated. In 37 minutes each week, I'll give you 3 ideas you can use immediately at your next networking event to connect with the right people, to start the right conversations, to follow up in the right way so that you start building that network, right? And so for each module, you're going to be taking notes, their worksheets, and how to use the techniques. You get to go out and practice it, right? You have networking events every week and go out and practice. And I provide the worksheets, fill them out as you go through the training because that's how you know what to do in any networking situation. I'm going to share with you what that means in just another second here. So that's the overview. 5-week course, live access to me during the trainings, lifetime access to recordings and program materials, and the private discussion boards. So I want to tell you the importance of each one of these really quickly. We'll go over each one here as we go. So training module number 1, choose the right events. This is really the kicker. I already said there are no bad events, but there are a few traps that people fall into, so they end up wasting their time. Anyone out there enjoy wasting their time? I didn't think so. Time is money. So in this module, I teach you simple ways to spot the valuable events and avoid the time wasters. If you're deciding whether to join a chamber or a BNI or a Rotary or meetup luncheons or a networking group through your bank, I show you a step-by-step process for figuring out which one will lead to the best results. This program is great for busy people. It's great for anyone who's trying to decide, which chamber to join. I take you step-by-step how to figure that out so you know exactly what the right one is. So that live training is on October 13th. Training module 2 is meet the right people. I meet so many people who keep chasing their tail trying to catch people's attention, but you know what? If they're not returning your calls, they won't be a good addition to your network. And once you stop paying attention to the people who ignore you, you can focus on developing the really good content. So in this module, I cover the anatomy of a conversation, how to structure your conversation with people. Like this is really the advanced elevator pitch work, how to structure your conversation with people so you quickly figure out who the right people are and how to keep them engaged, and you can safely ignore the people who fall off the map. So developing relationships is a process, and if you look at all 5 modules together, these modules guide you through that process of getting to know people. If you go to a networking event and you don't know who the right people are to talk to, but I show you step by step how to pick the people, how to choose them, how to follow up with them, how to keep things moving. And if someone's not interested in getting to know you, that's fine. It's just best to figure that out early so you don't put your energy into people who aren't excited to spend their time with you. So that live training is going to be on October 20th. Module number 3 is about strengthening the relationships. Once you identify the people you want to get to know, you have to get to know them. And you do that by having one-to-ones. In this module, I provide the word-for-word email and phone scripts for inviting people to sit down with you so you get to know each other. You can develop that yourself. You're fine. You can go out and send emails. Like it doesn't matter that much what you say to them, but I've tested this over years with my clients and with myself, and the scripts that I offer are scripts that work, right? The scripts that I offer are scripts that I'm actually using in the real world and actually work. So I also provide a list of questions to ask so it doesn't sound like you're interviewing them, right? And I help you understand what to look for in the first, second, third, and 19th time you talk to them. Yes, folks, you can have that many one-to-ones with people. Again, the same way that meeting at an event doesn't help, having one-on-one rules out the people that you're not going to have a second one-on-one with, but you can have multiple one. Some of my best opportunities came at the 12th or 13th time I sat down with someone. So, and if you're already part of a networking group, this module alone will make it 10 times more productive for you. So mark your calendar for October 27th. This is the single most important skill in growing your business through business networking. This module alone will more than pay for your investment in this program. So module number 4 looks in depth at following up. So many people avoid following up because they think they're being annoying or bothering people. But nothing happens until you follow up, right? Nobody's going to call you. You have to do the follow-up. And again, I talked a little bit about how you dump people who don't respond to you. But there are times, it's a little more granular than that. So there are times when you do want to follow up. And in this module, I'll share specific techniques so people will be eager to hear from you. Plus, I offer the same word-for-word scripts for checking in with people, for handling cold and warm leads, for reaching out to people who've stopped returning your calls. And I'll share with you the voice message that always gets a response. The key is that you can't leave the message until you actually have a referral network. But once you have that referral network, you can get people to call you back anytime you want. So I'll be sharing that with you. I'll be sharing that with you on November 3rd. And then the 5th module is professional referrals. You will never again ask people for referrals. I'll say that again. You will never again ask people for referrals. It's awkward and clumsy. And why would you ever want to put your best connections in that position? Also, it just doesn't work. I mean, I'm okay for some awkward stuff if it ends up working, but it's awkward and clumsy and it never, ever works. So this module is about inspiring people to call you with referrals. Jeffrey Gitomer, a great sales trainer, says, if you have to ask for referrals, you haven't earned them. And I'll show you step-by-step my approach to becoming the kind of person that people are eager to refer to. And it starts with giving professional referrals. So that's going to be on November 10th. Now, you get live access to all these modules, and you can go back on your own, go back to your own exclusive private member account to get access to the recordings plus all the material. A lot of you might say, well, what if I have questions? And you're in serious luck because you ask me any questions you want in the live programs. You can see that I'm happy to take, I love taking questions. And you get full access to the VIP discussion board in the members only area, which is a hotline to me. I monitor and respond to anyone in the course for as long as you're in the course. Now, what about your elevator pitch? This program covers advanced techniques that assume you already have a working elevator pitch. And I know that this is the thing that almost everyone struggles with. So for the first bonus, for those who join the course, you get a new elevator pitch. Yes, join the course and I will schedule a full 60-minute private coaching call with you. I'll take you through my proprietary process. It only takes 1 hour to work out your 7-word answer to what do you do and your full 30-second elevator pitch. This is my most popular coaching program. It's quick. It gets results. It's usually $350, and I'm including it in this program. I'm also including, as bonus number 2, a downloadable copy of my book, the Elevator Pitch Handbook, the step-by-step guide to starting conversations. It will be available in your account in our private membership area. Scan through it before the call to get insight into my approach, then again after the call to fine-tune what we come up with. It takes you through the process from start to finish. I sell a lot of these books, and people love them. Anything else? Well, you drive a hard bargain, but okay. I also have a new program I call Opportunity Spotting. And Opportunity Spotting, it's 2 coaching sessions that are each 30 minutes long. And what we do, here's how it works. You plan to attend a networking event. So you've got a networking event coming up. So we schedule a 30-minute call on the phone or on Skype. And we get on the phone to plan for it, what you're going to say, who you're looking for, what your 7 words, what you're going to be looking for, and then things to be paying attention to and watching out for, right? There's more, I've painted kind of a simplistic picture here, right? You go to the event and try to, but we'll talk about what kinds of conversations you're looking to start, how people tend to respond to you. We'll kind of work on all that. Then you go ahead and you attend the event. Then we get on the phone if you prepare for the networking event, then you get on the phone for a follow-up 30-minute call. Because I find most people leave an event thinking it was a waste of time. My clients do this all the time. Like, how was the networking event? It's a total waste of time. Like, well, tell me about it. And when I spend 30 minutes on the phone with them, we always find at least 2 opportunities that they have overlooked. And that's really the value in this opportunity spotting program. We talk before the event, you go to the event, you do your thing, and then you talk to me after the event, and I will help you tune your radar for when this is happening. And I call it opportunity spotting. It's usually only available to my premier coaching clients. Like, this is the kind of work I do with my monthly clients. But I'm including it in this program. It's such a powerful thing that I just go ahead and include it in this program for you. And again, the idea is that if you go to networking events and you really don't feel like you're getting anything out of them, this alone will be worth it for you because I'll get on the phone with you and I'll show you where the opportunities were at any event that you attended. Another question I always get is there a money-back guarantee for this? Well, I mean, yes. I don't believe in refunds for stuff that I buy for myself because I find that if I apply myself, I easily make back my investment. It helps me take action. What I do have here is a 45-day money-back guarantee. People say, why 45 days? Well, that's really all it takes. Like, you do this program. If you're not getting results in 45 days, I'll happily refund your money. It just does not take that long. So 100% of your money back within 45 days if you do 3 things. You've got to complete all the trainings and show me your worksheets. You have to have the elevator pitch and opportunity spotting coaching calls with me, and you got to send me results from 3 networking events. So there's 3 networking events over 6 weeks. So if you do your coaching call and send me your notes from the trainings and attend those 3 events, and you still want your money back, you got to complete these back. I mean, if you don't complete those things, there's no money back, right? You actually have to be networking to network. But so you got to complete it. Just because I'm going to tell you, I'll tell you, I've never had one refund on this product, not one, because people are ignoring opportunities. It's the crazy thing about business networking. There are opportunities all around us, and we are not trained to see them. Not trained to see them. So if you're committed to it and you take action, you're going to see results. I can't say you're going to get the same results as me. I can't say you're going to make any type of money. I can't make any of those kinds of claims. I can just show you what I've done and what plenty of other people have done through this system. It's up to you then to get the results. But if you show me you completed the trainings and attended 3 events and did your coaching calls, I'll send you a full refund, no questions asked. You got to do those 3 things. I think that's fair. So here's what you get in the recap. 5 live webinars, $750 value there just for the 3 core modules. It will completely change your approach to networking. And again, it's not a lot of, it's just 37 minutes. They tend to go 45 or 47 minutes with questions, but 37 minutes, quick things, stuff you can use immediately. Same kind of stuff we talked about today. Really fun when you start seeing results. Then there's the recordings. I mean, I know you're busy. I assume you won't make every training live, right? And even if you do, I still encourage you to go back and listen to the recordings. They're chock full of ideas and techniques. Networking is not the kind of thing you learn in an instant. That's why I spread this training out over several weeks. It's a little work. Just listen to the techniques, try them, ask questions, tune it. That's really how you're going to start getting results. Then there's the VIP discussion board. It's a hotline to me that's only available to people who take my advanced courses. Chances are if you have a question, it may already been answered on those boards. Then there's the new elevator pitch, $350 value. I can't tell you what a relief it is when people know how to describe what they do in any networking situation. With this, it's like you're making money when you invest in yourself through the system. A good elevator pitch is the key foundation for attracting the right people into your network. A copy of my book. I'm selling a lot of these, and I'm amazed at what people are coming up with even without talking to me. Right? People take my book and say, hey, I came up with this pitch. And I'm like, yeah, go use it. That's great. So it's an easy, fun process. If you want to buy physical books from me for your team or your company, just ask me about the bulk discounts. I'm happy to sell you books. But again, this is a copy. This is a digital copy of the book. An additional hour of opportunity spotting coaching, another $350. Again, once you get this, once you tune your radar so you can spot the right people to follow up with, it's like gold. Networking events start to look like a pile of gold because the opportunities are there. People just don't see them. And when you can see them, there truly aren't any bad events. That's a lot of value. That's a lot of value right there. Very cool. So I'm putting this at a value of just about $1,500, although it's way more than that value-wise. I mean, I charge $350 for an hour, and you get over 5 hours of instruction with me in the live trainings, plus the 60-minute new elevator call, plus the 2 30 minutes of opportunity spotting, plus access to recordings and training materials. So if you wanted to learn this stream by the hour, it's way more than $1,500. So you can already see the value of this. Today's price is only $500. Well, so the price is originally $500, but since you're our most loyal followers and you're incredible action takers and committed to growth in your mindset, and you got such great value and see the value in investing in information and advice to get results, I'm going to put today's price at 2 payments of $159. So again, incredible value for your investment, what you're getting, and for those who take action, you're going to get some amazing results. I already know if you're not happy, you get the 45-day money-back guarantee. If you work with me, do the homework and show me that you networked. So here's what I want you to do right now. We're going to get into the Q&A in just a second, and then we'll do that giveaway of the elevator pitch. But I want you to go to improvandy.com/5weeks. So go ahead, pull up another screen, go into your browser, and type in improvandy.com/5weeks, and that is going to take you to the product page. Excuse me. And just scroll all the way down to the bottom. It's easy to just grab the slider on the right-hand side and just pull it all the way down. You get to the bottom and you see the next step. And again, you can see the full schedule there. That's where all the materials and the recordings will be as we do the live programs. This is the cool thing about membership site. Like everything's just right there for you. So that's the schedule, the recordings. That's where everything will be. If you look for the blue, join us for 2 payments of $159. Go ahead and click on that. And here's the really fun part. That it's really fun. Like we're setting up. You have your own personal account, right? You get full access to our members-only area, and it keeps track of where you are in the training and what you've accomplished. And if you want accountability, it can do that too. It's your own personal space to learn about this stuff. Now, I don't know about you, but I have so many account names and passwords to keep straight that I can't stand it. So I've actually teamed up with LinkedIn, and we just use LinkedIn as a shortcut for logging in. So instead of having and we can't see anything about your account. I don't know what your password is. I can't see your connections. I don't see any of that stuff. It's just a way that you can use your LinkedIn credentials to not have to set up a new account on my membership site. So go ahead and create your account now, either through LinkedIn or just the typical way of putting in your name and an email and password. And then once you've done that, you'll end up. And if you already have an account, so you can just create an account, or if you already have an account, then you can just log into your account, and that'll work too. And then on this page, you know what to do. Just pull out your credit card, put in your information, and then just click Purchase right there. And take action right now. I want to get you this information. I want to get you the bonuses, the new elevator pitch, the opportunity spotting, access to my ownership platform. So improvandy.com/5 weeks. Go ahead there right now. We're going to do this right now. We're going to do this over the next 15 minutes. We're going to do a Q&A here and talk about it. We're getting all this information. You're getting the live webinars, the webinar recordings, and VIP discussion board, plus a new elevator pitch and opportunity spotting and my book. You get everything you need on how to get better results from your current networking efforts, whether you're networking a lot or a little, whether you've been selling for years or just started. I'll show you how to do it step by step. So I got some great questions. People have been sending them along, so be sure to enter yours now. I want to get back to it. When you think of other questions, I'll just keep answering questions, and then when I get to the end of the questions, I'll be giving away that elevator pitch. So again, go ahead and type in your questions. I'm going to scroll through now and see who we're going to do. So I want to go back. Harold asked a good question earlier on, so I'll go back to Harold's question to start this off. With the 4M rule, remember the 4-month rule and the expectation of 3 to 4 conversations, to expect good conversation with at least 12 to 16 people over the course of the 4 months, or is it better to have repeated conversations with the same people? So Harold, that is a great question. And again, in the advanced training, we go through this step by step, kind of how to navigate that between initial conversations and follow-up conversations. What I'll say here is that, yes, at every event, you're looking to have 3 or 4 new conversations. Right? I mean, I'm all for catching up with people that you've met before, and that's great. But the point of the event is to have 3 or 4 conversations with new people. You've got to constantly be adding new people in. And there are always new people at events, right? I mean, I think it's always funny. People say, well, I have to have a different elevator pitch every time I go out there. No, you don't. You want to use the same elevator pitch because you always have new people. There's always new people in the audience. So when you go to the event, part of the benefit is you're seeing the same people over and over again. The other part of the benefit is you're meeting new people, and you really want and need to be doing both of those. And so that's why we're going. So a great question. So it's better to do both. You want to be continuing to build a relationship with people you met a while back, and you want to constantly be looking for new people because, again, the person you meet today may turn into something 6 months or 9 months or a year and a half from now. And a year and a half from now, you want to be cultivating new relationships so you can move that. So it's you're constantly meeting new people. Business networking is about constantly meeting new people. So good, excellent. So when can we do the coaching? Great question. So the coaching is available immediately. I actually like to do the coaching before. I like to do at least the elevator pitch coaching before we start the program because the stuff we'll be doing in the program actually is better. It's better if you have the elevator pitch. So I like to give people the elevator. This is really one of my more advanced courses and assumes that you kind of have an elevator pitch that gets people, that shows you who you want to talk to. If you don't have that, you really need to get that. So you can do the coaching immediately. And again, if you've got networking events coming up, there's no reason not to have the opportunity spotting. Like the faster you learn how to do that, the better off you'll be. Again, great questions coming through. Keep sending the questions in. What is opportunity spotting? So from my point of view, opportunity spotting is the skill of understanding what an opportunity looks like, and that's really the key, right? I mean, people go to networking events and get frustrated because they don't sign up clients. But what they don't understand is that that's not the goal of the networking event. The goal of the networking event is to meet people who will eventually introduce you to clients, and so that's really the key. And so opportunity spotting is, I'll say to, it was like my client Ann. She met someone who wanted to sit down and understand how she could help this coach's clients. Right, that's a great opportunity, and people don't see that as an opportunity, but it is a great opportunity. And I've had other clients where I showed them, and again, this is the value you get from just having that 60-minute opportunity spotting call with me. That there are conversations that you have, and I say to people, well, that sounded like a good conversation to follow up on, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, well, I need to call that person. They like hang up the phone with me and go running over to call that other person back, right? That's really the way it works. So that's good. So great. So what finally made you feel comfortable at talking about Steve to the car dealer owner? And what did Steve do to help build your trust? Great question. And what it was Steve kept following up with me. He'd send me an email every, 6 weeks or so, and about how his business was going, about car dealerships he had signed up. He was when I started talking to him, he had really just started, and over the next couple of months, he really started signing up some dealerships, and so that gave me a little more confidence in what he was about. But what really made me, this falls into the opportunity spotting, right? When I was giving that presentation, the owner of that dealership was in the audience, and that's an opportunity, right? I saw an opportunity. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, folks, with the opportunity spotting. I saw the opportunity to approach him with an opportunity for him, right? So I went up to him and I said, hey, I met someone in, car dealerships and massage chairs and retail spaces. Would that be something you'd be interested in talking to him about, right? I didn't force the guy on him. I offered it as an opportunity. He's like, yeah, I'd love to talk to him about that. And again, and approaching him that way made it work. So it's a combination of opportunity spotting, and I didn't have that much risk, right? I know this guy. I was talking to him. If Steve turned out to be a dodo, then it was going to be okay. But again, I didn't want to call the dealer out of the blue. The fact that I ran into him at a networking event meant that I could make the connection. So thanks for a great question, Harold. Hopefully that answered the question. But it was just kind of a confluence of events that I knew about Steve, and I met the guy in person, and I had a chance to talk to him. Instead of calling him and saying, hey, did you want massage chairs? I was able to, go up to him and say hi and talk to him in person, and so that was a good opportunity too. So Hannah, is there a difference between business networking and personal networking? Well, I don't know. I mean, I might define personal networking as dating, and I think they are very different. I mean, there are similarities in building relationships, but the folks in your referral network are not anything like your spouse. I mean, they're just business folks who you like spending time with and can be friendly with, but aren't kind of life partner sorts of things. I think that there is an element of personal. Networking is a personal thing. I mean, having said that, networking is a personal thing. Part of what you're sharing is your person, and the folks of you who, those of you who signed, thanks to the folks who are signing up. Congratulations. I look forward to working with the folks who are signing up already. The cool thing about the elevator pitch work that I do with you is that it's very much about you, and so you're sharing a little bit of yourself, and in that sense, the networking is personal. But so about personal networking, I mean, I think you have to bring your personal self to your networking. I think that a lot of people feel like they have to put on a business persona when you're networking, and I don't believe in that. I never suggest that. I think you need to be authentic in who you are. And so I hope that answered your question, Hannah. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by personal networking, but again, there is, and again, in the advanced training, we go through that in detail about how you kind of bring your own authentic self to the networking and how that helps. Diane, is backdoor networking the same as the 3-foot rule? I'm not familiar with the 3-foot rule, Diane. So if you want to give me a little more on that, I'd be happy to talk about it a little bit. But I mean, again, for me, backdoor networking, and again, that falls into the opportunity spotting that you get is the backdoor networking just means that you can talk to people. I mean, I've had some of my best conversations before an event actually starts. Right? If you get to an event a little bit early, just kind of hanging out with people, the networking hasn't started yet. People's defenses are down, like they're a little bit more open to talking. You can actually be networking with them before they know it's networking. So to me, that's backdoor networking. You could be networking with people before they're aware of it. And the same thing is true with dating, right? I mean, the reason that dates are so awkward is that you're there to find someone to marry, but it's way too early to be talking like that. So there's kind of this ulterior motive, which is why so many people have great success, working, doing volunteer work and working next to people and getting to know them in a separate context and then kind of turning it into more. And that's really what we're doing with business networking, right? There's a chance, I joined Rotary, and it's wonderful for this. You get to work, next to people. And Rotary is not really a networking group. It's more a social give back to the community kind of group. But I do get business out of it because I get to know people. Like we work side by side together on service projects, and it's a great way to get to know people. So to me, that's backdoor networking. I hope that answered the question. Hannah, I just hear about business networking a lot, not a lot of other kind of networking. Yeah, I mean, networking, it's funny, if you Google networking, you get a lot about computers. Like the computer network is really the thing that networking really means. And I don't think business networking is as opposed to personal networking or other kinds of networking. Business networking itself is this way of developing relationships and trust with non-prospects as a way of getting them to introduce you to people who are good prospects for you. I mean, that's business networking. Again, I don't think there's a semantic. I've never found semantic value in thinking of other kinds of networking. Business networking is the thing that we're talking about. So, and then again, that's the focus of this program. Like what we talk about in the program is business networking. The goal here is to make money, right? I don't, you're developing relationships to make money, and that's the thing. That's really the change and the change people need when they go through this program. That's really the change people come to. Like this say, okay, I'm there to sell, but I'm not allowed to sell. So what do I do? And this 5-step process is that. It's the answer to that. It is what you do, right? It's how you choose the events. It's how you meet the people. It's how you choose who to follow up with. It's just step-by-step thing. And you can't go to an event and like spot the people who are going to become your most trusted people, right? It's not going to work that way. But you can go and follow this process, and out of this process will come people who end up being really good contacts for you. So that's good. So time for about 2 or 3 more questions maybe, and then I want to do the giveaway, and then we can move on. So let's see. Got a couple of things coming in. Let me see. So what do I do when people don't respond to requests for one-to-ones? Yeah, that's a good question. And this is one of the few cases where I do not recommend the follow-up, right? Because there's not. I just found that if someone doesn't respond to the first request, that either they don't get it, or they're not interested, or it's hard to say exactly. It's hard to say exactly what it is, but that's hard to say exactly what it is. But the people who understand it get back to you immediately. And again, you're looking for people. It's funny in my window cleaning business. Like we're looking for guys who can show up every day. So our process is you have to show up a couple of days in a row. Show up for the first interview, show up for the second interview, show up for the first day of work. All of a sudden you're showing up 3 days in a row. That's kind of a good sign that you're going to be effective. And a lot of people can't show up the second day. Like they make an interview and they don't show up for the interview, or they show up for the first interview but don't come back for the second interview, and it just rules them out. And I find that with one-to-ones, it's the same thing. Like if someone won't respond to your first request to a one-to-one, they're not going to be responsive. If you need to refer them to someone, they're not going to think of you. If they have someone that's a good client for you, like it's just one of those rules of thumb that I've come up with. That there you are. So that's good. So all right. So I'll take the last question here, and then we'll get into the giveaway. So you've shown us the big wins. What are the pitfalls to avoid? How to be sure you're at the right networking event. So what I would say is I flip this around. I mean, and my coaching clients. If any of you are interested in kind of the private coaching, you can contact me about that as well. But the way I like to do that is I like to start where people are, right? You're doing some stuff now, and you can get better at promoting yourself. You get yourself a stronger elevator pitch, and then we start seeing people to sit down for one-on-ones. You get a little bit better at doing the one-on-ones, and all of a sudden you start seeing opportunities, right? There's a very small kind of tweak to get you to the point that you're seeing those results. Then it takes time to develop that, but over time it goes on. And see, I would never suggest that somebody kind of start from scratch, right? I don't want people to throw out the people that they know. You already know a bunch of people. Those are good people. Like get to know them better. That's really the place to start. Because there are good people. It's not like there are better people somewhere else, right? It's the grass is always greener sort of thing. Well, if I go to that event, maybe there'll be better people there. There's the same people at every event, and what people aren't doing is they are connecting with them well. And so if you connect with them better, then that will work. So there you go. So good. All right, so the questions are kind of slowing down, so I want to thank everyone for being on the call for this long. I'm going to do the giveaway. Just give me a second to look back through the chat here. You got a lot of people who have been very, very active, and I do appreciate that. So let's see. All right, so I always have trouble making it just one person. So I'm actually gonna have 2 winners. So Harold and Diane Jack are the two winners. So Harold Wassell, I think I'm going to pronounce your last name right, and Diane Jack. Congratulations. Just shoot me an email. You've got tons of emails from me. We've had a couple of days. Just reply to one of those. Say, hey, let's set up our coaching session, and I will be happy to do that for you. So a bunch of people have signed up, so I'm looking forward to working with you in October. If anyone else wants to do so, it'll be open for a little bit while longer, so go ahead and do that. And so just kind of just seeing positive feedback now and everything. Thanks everyone for being on the call. All right, sweet. So awesome. I appreciate everyone being here till the very end. I appreciate the comments. Hope you're enjoying this and got a lot of information. That's it. Again, appreciate your time and energy for being here. Thanks for being active and engaging, connecting, and commenting with me. It means a lot. Thank you for your time. And if I can support you in any way, just free to hit me up and let me know, and we'll go from there. All right. Happy networking, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.